Tonight on CTV News at 6, living with infill. The early results of new rules transforming the city.
You either have rejuvenation or deterioration. I pick rejuvenation.
Who pays when a city tree destroys private property?
Thank God it was only my car.
And viral brawl. Millions of views of a Red Deer disagreement.
Another day with temperatures just slightly cooler than average in the low 20s for a daytime high tomorrow, and then another warm-up to close the week.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. Council has approved new rules for infill housing projects, but one major decision on density has been kicked down the road. Mid-block multiplexes are being scrutinized, even in neighborhoods where older infills are starting to blend in. CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports.
5 years ago, an infill builder irritated neighbors in North Glenora by using an empty lot to store dirt. Now, there are infill homes here and people living in them.
The foreskin is directly across from our residence. We don't have a problem with. You either have rejuvenation or deterioration. I pick rejuvenation.
But Tony Thibodeau says the new wave of rejuvenation goes too far. 2 doors down, a city sign shows an 8-plex is on the way.
I'm sorry, but 6 by my virtue is too many. 8's just ridiculous. And then on top of that, no provision for parking?
An influx of infill multiplexes is on its way for this little section of North Glenora. 10 units are going in on this corner lot here, and just across the street, another 7 units are going in right there. In all, I count 4 single-family homes being replaced by 31 units, with the potential for even more. This man had issues with how the house beside his was demolished. He's moving his family out of the neighborhood before construction on the 7-plex begins.
This is a free-for-all right now. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So there's a lot of builders out here who are just throwing money, they're grabbing land, they're knocking down houses without following the rules.
After 3 days listening to Edmontonians at a public hearing on infill, council approved a handful of changes to the zoning bylaw this week. The maximum length of infill buildings shrunk by 5 meters. They must be further from the property line, adding space between buildings. They're allowed only 2 side entrances, and the facade facing the street needs to look more like a house, with more windows and covered doorways.
The build form has been reduced, and that's pretty much the primary concern that we heard all along the line.
But 8 units are still allowed on one lot. A new council will continue that debate in early 2027 after another round of community consultation. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A senior has been charged with impaired driving after a police officer and his service dog were struck by a car. It happened last month in the area of 106th Street and 106th A Avenue just after 1:30 in the afternoon. Police say they were attempting to arrest a driver and passenger accused of stealing a car when an unrelated car hit the officer and his service dog. The officer needed surgery and is recovering. The dog had minor injuries. A 77-year-old man is facing 2 impaired driving-related charges. The 2 people in the other car were also arrested. The Red Deer Minor Hockey Association is conducting an internal investigation into one of its coaches, former NHL player Nick Tarnasky. It was prompted by a video of a brawl on a Red Deer golf course earlier this month.
Hey! You wanna go, guys?
CTV News has obtained the full 6-minute-long video showing Tarnasky in the white shirt. We're told the fight broke out last Friday at the Alberta Springs Golf Resort. It appears it started because one of the groups was taking too long to play. RCMP say a third party called in a report about an intoxicated man who was trying to start fights. No charges are being laid. CTV News reached out to Alberta Springs. No one has been made available for comment. An Edmonton woman is down hundreds of dollars after a tree branch fell on her car. The woman believes the blame lands with the city, and she's filed a claim to get her money back. CTV's Nav Sangha has the story.
Nearly 2 weeks ago, Erin Dodd was sitting at home when she looked out of her window and saw a large tree branch break off and fall.
we came out, and I'm like, it didn't hit my car. Yeah, it did. And there was a big hole, like, in it, in the front.
It destroyed her car's windshield. Replacing it cost her nearly $500. She tried going through her insurance, but the deductible was too expensive.
I'm on Alberta Works, and that was half of my check right there.
Dodd says because she had to pay out of pocket, she couldn't afford to buy groceries.
Instead, I had to actually go to the food bank for the first time in my life.
The tree that the branch fell from had actually been reported to the city by Dodd's neighbor, Callan Wassenaar, nearly a month ago. He says he saw symptoms of a possible emerald ash borer infestation.
It's the city's responsibility to take care of the trees on the boulevards, and if we're reporting them and they're not doing anything about it, then what's the point of reporting them?
He's also reported other trees on his block with similar symptoms. The city of Edmonton says it has not detected emerald ash borer in the city, but it continues to monitor to watch for signs of the pest.
I try not to walk on the sidewalks, even near the trees right now, because that's how concerned I am about them.
As for Dodd, she's filed a claim through the city with the hope of being compensated. She says she's thankful no one was hurt.
And thank God it was only my car. What if it was a person or me getting out of the car?
The city says the investigation into the claim will take up to 4 months. Nav Sanga, CTV News, Edmonton.
The City of Edmonton says some of the roads closed by LRT construction are expected to open on time. The City and Marigold Infrastructure Partners say they are making steady progress on the Valley Line West construction. 87th Avenue at Meadowlark Road is expected to open today. The city says Stony Plain Road at 156th Street should reopen to traffic tomorrow. That intersection has been closed since late April. The intersection at Stony Plain Road and 142nd Street is expected to open mid-August. There will be other closures to contend with. The city says later this month, 95th Ave at 156th Street will be closed for 9 weeks. Construction is booming in Blatchford. Edmonton's renewable energy-powered neighborhood is being built on the former city centre airport. CTV's Connor Hogg was there today, seeing the progress and hearing what the neighborhood is like from people already living there.
I didn't know what exactly to expect when I moved here, because obviously it's still growing.
Emily Taylor moved to Blatchford 1 year ago, taking the plunge despite decades of construction still to come.
Even in the year I've been here, there's been a huge number of new developments that have gone up.
While the neighborhood has faced several construction delays over the years, city officials say work in Blatchford is now full steam ahead.
The talk has been that it's not going as fast as people think it should be going, but there's people living here. We have 300 homes either constructed or under construction right now.
It's mostly townhouses for now, but soon there will be more diverse options. Project development manager Tom Lumsden says more affordable options are also coming. A 72-unit apartment building will open next year, and condos priced around $360,000 will be available.
Once we see some more vertical, that'll be a real turning point for the community.
Lumsden says Blatchford will also be getting its first retail space in the next few years. The mixed-use buildings known as Blatchford Market will be built by the new Nate LRT stop. Former airport runway is being ground up to be reused in both Blatchford and Yellowhead Freeway construction. The main floor of the former City Centre Airport Tower will also be opened up.
The main floor is a big space, and we're going to renovate that into public space.
There's still plenty left to build in Blatchford, but people who are already here don't seem to mind.
It's under construction, a little bit noisy, but that's all right. It's just going to be temporary, right?
Obviously, if you're on the outskirts in that transition year when they're still going up, it's going to be a little bit inconvenient.
Inconvenience is not a problem for Blatchfordites, with a walking group that monitors weekly construction progress.
This building has just popped up out of nowhere, and that building is getting the facing on.
Building Blatchford is becoming something of a spectator sport. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
With the recent rain, Edmonton is seeing an increase in mosquitoes. The city says the mosquito count was low heading into spring, with little to no mosquitoes in April and heading into May. Now, with all the recent rain, mosquitoes are hatching in droves. The city's entomologist says they won't be bad for much longer.
They'll probably hang around for about another week or so, but unless we get additional precipitation and additional hatching following after that, the numbers will likely drop again.
The city says the mosquitoes that are out now are a mix of Edmonton's usual summer and spring species. Alberta Fish and Wildlife says it won't intervene after a moose was spotted walking around south Terwilliger this morning.
Maddie, you gotta calm down. You're scaring it.
People saw the moose walking through South Terwilliger Park by the soccer nets. It also took a dip in a nearby pond. Alberta Fish and Wildlife says officers will leave it alone for now because it's not aggressive and simply moving through the area. Last month, Fish and Wildlife had to relocate a moose outside city limits after it attacked 2 people. A car hit and killed her calf. One neighbor in the area says she saw the Terwilliger moose walk by while sitting on her porch.
I guess I was just like a little bit worried for it. It seemed a little bit lost, and this isn't exactly the place for a moose. It was definitely shocked.
Alberta Fish and Wildlife encourages people to watch the moose from a safe distance, avoid approaching it, and to keep pets on a leash. The newest Edmonton Oilers says he's pumped to join the club. The team traded for 21-year-old forward Isaac Howard from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They give a former first-round pick, Sam O'Reilly, in return. Last season, Howard scored 26 goals and 52 points with Michigan State University and was named the top player in U.S. college hockey. He's also won a gold medal with the United States, the Men's Hockey World Championship. He says Edmonton topped his list for places to play.
I met with Edmonton, and this was probably the spot I wanted to go. It just checks all my boxes, and I knew if there's somehow it could happen, I would absolutely love it. And so when I found that out, I was just super pumped up and couldn't be happier.
Isaac Howard, who goes by Ike, signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the team. All right, first check on weather. Josh, what a difference the day makes.
Yeah, 32 degrees yesterday. It's still not bad today, but 24 for a daytime high, so 8 degrees cooler than it was late yesterday afternoon. We're at 24 downtown right now, but low 20s outside the city with wind right now about 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. It'll be a little breezier tomorrow. 10 degrees. Yesterday was 2 degrees off a record. Today was 10 degrees off a record high, but right on par with average, 24 and 13 for the high and the low. This is what it looks like outside right now. This is the CTV drone looking to the north. As you can see some darker clouds there. We do have a little isolated thunderstorm cell up around Morinville, but all of the really active weather is south of the Edmonton region, not north of Edmonton. We have heat warnings for the areas in pink in the southeast corner of the province. In the yellow zone, a severe thunderstorm watch. Again, watch means potential. Warning means you have severe thunderstorms, and there are 2 severe thunderstorms we're keeping an eye on, as well as the potential for a tornado from that storm right there dead center in that little red box. We have a tornado watch. Again, no warning, just a watch as of right now. But that storm has been rotating. There are storm chasers on that and keeping a close eye on it. We'll update you on that in a moment. You can see it's right now just south of Three Hills and east of Acme and headed towards the Drumheller region. Nothing on the ground right now, but I mean, even if that thing doesn't produce a tornado, golf ball sized hail potentially. Here in Edmonton, there's a couple scattered showers that might slide through, and you can see one and now a second little thunderstorm cell pushing through the Morinville region. That'll stay north of the Edmonton area for most of the city. It's going to be dry this evening, and we'll get some clearing overnight tonight. 22 for a daytime high with some late day cloud cover tomorrow.
Thank you, Josh. Still ahead on CTV News at 6, police investigate a stabbing at Stampede Park on a night with a record crowd.
At this time, part of the investigation is still determining what weapons may have been involved.
How Stampeders are feeling a day after the attack, also next. His way into a tent at a campsite in Yoho National Park. So we got, yeah.
Brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Police are searching for suspects after a stabbing at the Calgary Stampede. 3 teens were hospitalized. Police say they don't know what started the fight, but they do think it was targeted. CTV's Alicia Fieldberg reports.
Fun continues at a Stampede attraction hours after a stabbing on the Midway sent 3 people to hospital.
I'm very upset. It makes me feel sad because, this is supposed to be a safe environment where people are going to have fun.
It happened around 11 Tuesday night near the base of the Euroslide. Police found an 18-year-old man in life-threatening condition and 2 others in serious condition just outside the park. A 15-year-old boy near 17th Avenue and McLeod Trail and an 18-year-old man near Earlton Street and 27th Avenue. Police say it was a fight between 2 groups of people who knew each other.
From reviewing CCTV so far, we could say there's anywhere between 8 and 10 people involved in this altercation, with 3 people ended up at hospital.
It's still under investigation. We don't actually even know what the weapon is or whether or not it was brought on to Stampede Park.
At every entry gate, police support Stampede security, checking bags as attendees pass through metal detectors.
It makes me think about how the security up front with take stuff out of your pockets should maybe tighten down a bit.
I don't know how I feel about the security system because I literally just walked through and there was not really any question about, what was in my purse, what was in my bag.
Free attendance for part of the day in a Don Tolliver concert drew a record attendance of over 193,000 people to Stampede Park Tuesday. Police were aware of concerns about the big crowd ahead of the show, but said there were very few incidents.
We did arrest one person that was climbing on a structure during the concert, so that's illegal activity, and he was arrested and ejected from the park.
Still, some are unsettled by recent attacks.
I'm sure it was targeted, I'm assuming, but still, it's scary. It could break into something else, right?
23 hours before the stabbing, police arrested 4 people after a midnight fight on the Midway spilled into a game booth, with workers trying to push the fighters out. While some people think security could be tighter, they still feel safe at Stampede.
I hope it was a personal matter. I mean, it's just in the back of my mind. I'm not too scared about it. I feel like it would maybe be different if I had kids or if I was a kid.
I don't want it to make an impact on, what Stampede is here for and how we're seen as a city.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
Alberta now has the most measles cases in North America on a per capita basis. That's worrying for medical experts who say summer events could push case counts higher. New numbers today show Alberta's cases have climbed to 1,246. There were 16 new cases overnight, all in the Alberta North Zone. Ontario has reported more than 1,900 measles cases since October, but that province has 3 times the population of Alberta. The U.S. has just under 1,300 confirmed cases. Former Edmonton Medical Officer of Health, Dr. James Talbot, says Alberta has even outpaced India on a per capita basis. That country has approximately 10,000 measles cases with a population of 1.4 billion people. A campground in Yoho National Park was evacuated last night after an apparent aggressive encounter with a black bear. One photo posted to the Friends of Yoho National Park Facebook page shows a black bear inside a tent at the remote campsite at Yoho Lake. Armed with bear spray and blowhorns, campers say they yelled through rocks and carefully followed the bear off site. Another photo shows a shredded up tent believed to be the work of the same bear. Another poster says Parks Canada helicoptered in to alert campers and to evacuate the site. Parks Canada says it is actively managing the situation. Coming up, concern for the future of Canadian junior hockey.
What I can tell you is we're not going to sit here with our arms crossed. We're going to continue to fuel the player development experience and put players in a position to advance their career to pro.
An Alberta team loses the player widely considered the NHL's next star to a U.S. college. And a summer concert series kicks off in the River Valley.
Temperatures in the low 20s on the way for tomorrow, and then another warm-up as we close the week. Some sunshine in the forecast as well. More on that and the tornado watch for areas south of Red Deer right after the break.
Programming brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile. To you by Federated Co-ops. Find your summer sweepstakes. Unlock your chances to win at your local co-op.
Music, art, and poetry are coming together in the River Valley this summer. The Sounds from the Valley concert series began last night with a performance from Edmonton-based Métis singer Robin Sisek. The free event happens every Tuesday night at the Snow Valley Ski Club starting at 7. Each show will feature a concert, poetry readings, and visual art. The program is a partnership between Snow Valley and the Edmonton Public Library.
The musicians are local artists from Edmonton and area that have been featured on our Capital City Records platform, and so they've actually shared their albums with the library and with library customers, and so they're here, a selection of them. We've got alt pop, folk, children's music, we got some rock bands coming in, some jazz groups coming in, so a wide variety every week.
The event runs through August the 26th. You're encouraged to bring a lawn chair and non-perishable food item for the food bank. All right, Josh, there's some exciting weather around the province. How about for us?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything exciting here in the city. There might be a couple of really isolated showers in the next hour or two. Same goes for late tomorrow. Most of the city, though, for most of the night, is going to stay dry. There's the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free. 24 degrees in Edmonton right now. That is our daytime high. 22 in Fort McMurray for the high. Cold Lake got up to 26. Look at Medicine Hat was again into the mid-30s. Here in Edmonton, it was 32 yesterday, 24 today, and we'll slip a little bit further to about 22 tomorrow. All the really active weather is south of Red Deer, although we do have severe thunderstorm watches just off to the south of Edmonton. Those are going to be canceled fairly quickly. This is all really starting to develop now to the south, and then in the next few hours off to the east of the Red Deer region, up around Coronation, you might see some pretty big storms. But right now, these are the warnings for severe thunderstorms, and this gray zone is a tornado watch. So again, watch just means potential with a couple of these storms. I think if you're west of the QE2, you're not really at any risk. Right now, the nastiest looking storm is this one here that we've had storm chasers on. This has produced, they're saying, potentially tennis ball sized hail. Golf ball to tennis ball sized hail off of that thing, and it is moving towards Drumheller. Was kind of weakening a little bit. Now it looks like it's picking up some steam. So anybody in that Drumheller region, you're at least going to get a really nasty storm going through, and we'll continue to watch that and see if that lowering does continue off of that storm cell and potentially produces a tornado. Another nasty little storm there north of Crossfield. But look at how far south all of this is from Red Deer. Red Deer, you've got a few more scattered showers. Here in Edmonton, you've had a pair of thunderstorms push through the Morinville region. First one's now just showers moving through Fort Saskatchewan. The next one will move through the same area, and it looks like parts of the north end are seeing a couple sprinkles. You get through the next half hour, 45 minutes, and all of that is gone, and skies start to clear. Now, all of this active weather developing south of this upper level low, so you've got this cold front trailing back off to the south and to the southwest. Ahead of this system, you had all of that heat being pumped in yesterday. Behind it, some cooler air getting sucked in, and as we said, that's probably going to be the case again for tomorrow. We'll watch for that risk of severe thunderstorms in east central and southeastern Alberta tonight. This will all be just showers and maybe a few embedded non-severe thunderstorms in the morning hours from Red Deer, Camrose, Wetaskiwin, and south. That moves off into southeastern parts of the province by tomorrow afternoon. Here in Edmonton, there's a slight chance, as we said, for maybe a spotty shower, but the best chance late tomorrow is going to be off into northeastern Alberta for some isolated showers or thunderstorms. Sunshine for most of the day Friday. This cloud cover holds off until Friday night. 24 degrees in Edmonton right now, still in the low 20s, Fort McMurray, Grand Prairie, and just 17 in Red Deer as you've had those showers and thunderstorms rolling through this afternoon. So a little cooler there. We'll start tomorrow at about 12 degrees with some sunshine. Gusts 30 to 40 kilometers per hour in the afternoon, a high of 22. Back to 26 or 27 for Friday, Saturday. Low 20s return Sunday and Monday.
Josh? The top-ranked undrafted hockey prospect in the world is leaving Alberta for the United States. Gavin McKenna is all but certain to go first overall in the NHL draft next June. And now, after a rule change, he's leaving the Western Hockey League for U.S. college. CTV's Quinn Keenan has more on fears for the future of Canadian junior hockey.
The best spot for me next year will be Penn State University. I think Penn State is a great spot for me.
Gavin McKenna is taking his talents south of the border for his draft-eligible season. The former Medicine Hat Tiger sees Penn State and the NCAA as his best path for preparing for the NHL.
I think it honestly just makes the jump easier. Going against older, heavier, stronger guys. I think it really prepares you. And, I think even in the locker room, hanging around older guys and being around more mature guys, I think that'll help me a lot.
The projected 2026 first first overall pick lit up the WHL with the Medicine Hat Tigers last season. The 17-year-old from Whitehorse racked up 129 points in 56 regular season games en route to a WHL championship and Memorial Cup final appearance. He's arguably the most notable prospect to ever commit to an NCAA school.
I don't think it was a shock to see him commit. I think it had been going that direction for quite a while. From the U.S. perspective, it was more the team he committed to, because Penn State does not have this history of having a lot of really high-end NHL-type players.
NCAA schools can offer players money through name, image, and likeness deals, as well as direct payments. McKenna will be making a reported $700,000 this year to play for Penn State. While the vast majority of players won't get anything close to that, most players are eyeing up the facilities NCAA schools can offer.
Players are making decisions based on not only monetary and financial reasons. Let's be clear here. We can't dismiss that either, but also for different development reasons.
McKenna was able to make the move after the NCAA made CHL players eligible last summer. So far, over 150 players have committed to NCAA schools, with the vast majority being 19 and 20-year-olds. At this point, CHL member leagues say they're not worried.
What I can tell you is we're not going to sit here with our arms crossed. We're going to continue to fuel the player development experience and put players in a position to advance their career to pro.
Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Still ahead, deadline looming.
I don't know what this means for us.
Where the provinces stand when it comes to implementing $10 a day daycare. Also ahead.
When it comes to the latest declaration from the president in the United States, we have not yet seen an executive order.
Canada keeps a close eye on new tariffs as the U.S. president releases another batch of tariff letters to more trading partners.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Parents eager to benefit from Ottawa's $10 a day childcare initiative may end up disappointed. A new report suggests the federal government is expected to miss the 2026 deadline for nationwide implementation. CTV's Rachel Aiello explains.
Oh my God, like what are we going to do?
Patty Dunn is nervous. Getting her daughter Harper into daycare was no small feat.
I put ourselves on the wait list when I was about 10 weeks pregnant.
And now, with a second on the way?
I don't know what this means for us. Like, just because we have a spot already, does that mean that we'll have a higher chance of getting our next baby in?
Compounding this stress, living in Ontario, it still costs $22 for every day Harper is at daycare. And while it's better than what it was, she says getting that cost down to $10.
It would honestly give us like that peace of mind.
She's not alone. A new report out today found that while costs are coming down across the country, governments have more work to do to get to $10 a day nationwide by next year. 6 provinces and territories have already met or exceeded the federal target. None of it Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. But there are still 5 provinces where care costs more: British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia.
Although people think of this as a $10 a day program Canada-wide, that's the aim. How it's implemented is the thing that makes the difference.
It's not just parents feeling the program's growing pains. It's daycare providers too, because while fees are dropping, demand isn't.
Right now I have over 1,200 parents or children waiting on the list with only 500 spaces, and my 500 spaces are full.
Today, a spokesperson for the federal families minister touted the $27 billion investment to support province and territories in delivering more affordable childcare, and said the government continues to work with them to deliver on that promise. While that work continues, moms like Patty just want to see more spaces opening up as soon as possible.
It would help to alleviate the stress.
Experts say in order to create those spaces, all levels of government need to work together to build up the early childhood educator workforce, which will take years. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
More economic pain could be coming our way if Donald Trump goes through with his newest threat to ratchet up the trade war. The U.S. president is musing about a 50% tariff on imported copper. As CTV's Mike Couture explains, more than half of our copper exports go to the States.
U.S. President Donald Trump released another batch of tariff letters to more trading partners. They include Brunei and Libya, and the tariff rate ranges from 20 to 30%. Now, Canada isn't included in this batch, but the government continues to watch after Trump said he'd impose 50% tariffs on copper imports.
When it comes to the latest declaration from the president in the United States, we have not yet seen an executive order. Of course,
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says the government is watching closely to see if Canada is affected by any more trade action from the United States. It is worth noting a 50% tariff on Canadian copper would be significant. Of the $9.3 billion worth of exports in 2023, more than half went to the U.S. The next two biggest destinations for Canadian copper were China and Japan. Now, trade experts say instead of forcing countries to make deals, U.S. tariffs are creating new economic alliances that actually exclude the U.S. And that could be bad for the American economy. And Canadian lawmakers say the goal is to get a deal that works for workers in this country.
my job right now is to make sure that in the context of this trade war, I'm supporting the front lines of this trade war, which are the workers and the companies affected by the unjustifiable and unjustified tariffs.
And the clock is ticking. Canada's self-imposed deadline to hammer out an economic and security deal with the U.S. is July 21st. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A new report suggests Canada's plan to rearm militarily with Europe threatens to provoke the U.S. president. Currently, about 75% of the military equipment Canada uses comes from the United States. To reduce reliance, the Prime Minister signed a security pact with the European Union last month. A new report written by former Canadian defense and security officials says that the new partnership with the EU could put Canada in the retaliatory crosshairs of the Americans.
The U.S. might respond in a negative way and start canceling U.S. contracts to Canadian companies.
Canada has paid for 16 American fighter jets. The government is evaluating if it should turn to the Swedish Gripen fighter instead for the rest of its order. The U.S. ambassador has warned against doing that, saying it would threaten NORAD. Russia attacked Ukraine with more than 700 drones and missiles last night, another escalation of its intensifying invasion. The U.S. will now send more defensive aid to Ukraine as Donald Trump sharply criticizes Vladimir Putin and considers supporting new, steep sanctions on Russia. NBC's Matt Bodner reports from London.
Russia has already been sanctioned heavily for its invasion of Ukraine, but Trump does have options to ramp up the pressure. One of these is to make it harder for other nations to do business with Moscow. There is a bill that Senator Lindsey Graham is teasing in the Senate right now that would impose a 500% tariff on imports to the United States from any nation that purchases Russian oil, gas, or uranium. There aren't many nations that would be impacted by this, but China and India, two of Moscow's largest enablers, would be particularly hurt by such a move. Both nations account for 70% of Russia's energy exports currently. Senate Republicans have been working on this bill for more than a month now. A month ago, Trump still seemed hopeful for a deal with President Vladimir Putin, but his mood appears to be rapidly souring. The two last spoke on July 3rd, and Trump said on Monday that he was, quote, not happy and, quote, disappointed with Putin's continued attacks on Ukraine. Also this week, Trump appeared to reverse a July 1st decision by the Pentagon to suspend deliveries of Patriot air defense missiles to Ukraine. These are perhaps one of the most important American weapons in Ukraine's arsenal. They save civilian lives in the major cities every day. Trump said yesterday that he wants to equip Ukrainians with defensive arms and said that Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people, so we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that. Matt Bodner, NBC News, London.
In Texas, the search continues nearly a week after the devastating floods that have killed at least 199 people and left nearly 200 others missing.
We will not stop until every missing person is accounted for.
Search and rescue teams from across the country are combing through the destruction. Officials have come under increasing scrutiny over whether more could have been done to warn people ahead of the flooding. Governor Greg Abbott says the Texas legislature will convene a special session later this month to investigate the emergency response and to provide funding for disaster relief. Water levels have receded in New Mexico after flash flooding killed at least 3 people.
Oh, there comes the house.
Oh my gosh, y'all look. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my gosh.
This is Ruidoso, a mountain village in the south central part of the state. Heavy rain caused the nearby river to rise more than 5.5 meters in a matter of minutes. Officials say a man and 2 children died after being swept away. Several American lawmakers want Canada to do more in combating wildfires in this country. 6 congressional Republicans from Wisconsin and Minnesota say successive years of wildfires have undermined air quality in their states, robbing Americans of their ability to enjoy the summer. The lawmakers pointed to forest management and arson as possible factors, but did not mention climate change. They sent a letter to Canada's ambassador urging her to relay their concerns to Natural Resources Canada and the Canadian Forest Service. In Paris, a man is being called a hero after risking his life to save multiple people, including 2 babies, from a burning apartment. Video shows the man standing on a narrow ledge outside a 6th-floor window. As smoke billows out, he reaches out to grab the infants and then hands them to safety. The footage shows him assisting other trapped family members. The Paris police chief says the hero will be honored for his courage and dedication. Coming up, the sound of science.
We try to do really visual experiments and things that really get them talking.
The new summer series kicks off at the Tell Us World of Science and...
Lost my mind. I think this was such a crazy accomplishment.
A development at the intersection of healthcare, robots, and artificial intelligence. Looking at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 73 cents to the American dollar. Oil was up 5 cents, closing at $68.38 U.S. a barrel. Gold gained more than $4 on the day. The TSX ended 68 points higher. The Dow Jones was up 217. For the very first time, a robot successfully performed surgery without any human help. The surgery was done on a dead pig. While we're still a long way away from robots in the ER, researchers are calling this a major accomplishment. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports, and a warning, we're about to show you video of the surgery, which may make some squeamish.
We successfully completed all 8 ex vivo studies without any human intervention.
You're watching a robot perform realistic surgery without human help for the very first time.
I lost my mind. I think this was such a crazy accomplishment.
Lead study author Ji Woong Brian Kim couldn't believe it, watching the robot, called SRTH, successfully perform a gallbladder surgery on a dead pig. Built and trained with the same architecture that powers ChatGPT, SRTH watched videos of surgeons at work.
It's a model that's actually learned and actually kind of understands the surgery rather than, being just pre-programmed.
While no human intervention was needed, there is a human who can override the robot if necessary.
Our goal is not to replace surgeons. We want to just make the surgery easier so that surgeons can perform more surgeries, fewer complications.
As long as the robot has the data, researchers say it should be able to perform any kind of surgery. They're already working on next steps. To get ready to operate on a live pig, this is a simulation with food coloring to imitate blood.
First thing that strikes me as an ethicist is consent.
Bioethicist Carrie Bowman says we need more data and research as AI in healthcare moves forward.
What's this going to look like for a country like Canada? Is this going to bring down wait times? Is this going to raise efficiency? It may. I'd like to keep an open mind about this.
As for when robots could perform surgeries on humans, researchers say that's still a number of years away. But experts warn AI is moving fast, and we need to be ready by answering all the difficult questions around its use. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Edmonton's Tell Us World of Science is hosting new science demonstrations this summer. Wow Wednesdays is a series of high-energy science demonstrations. It started today with the theme Sound of Science. The audience engaged in demos to learn how sound is created, how it travels, and how your ears interpret sound waves.
I know it's so easy to scroll online and our attention spans get shorter and shorter with that. So because of that, we try to do really visual experiments and things that really get them talking.
Wow Wednesdays are designed for visitors of all ages with demonstrations on select Wednesdays in July and August. Other themes include Forces Unleashed and Ice Cream Science. The Central Alberta Child Advocacy Centre in Red Deer is welcoming a new support dog. Rue is the newest addition and was a gift from Royal LePage. This is the second dog it's donated. The centre now has 3 service dogs, Rue, Quinn, and Carter. The nonprofit group says dogs provide companionship to kids going through difficult times. It supports children and families affected by abuse, neglect, maltreatment, and mental health issues.
They're more than just companions. So they come in, they support us through interview process. They'll sit in with the kids. They'll kind of meet and greet. And their goal is to bring down the stress levels for those kids, right? They want to make it a welcoming space.
The dogs also take the stand with children in court. They are trained by Dogs with Wings. The Great Lethbridge Butt Pick has launched. The Helen Schuler Nature Center has started a new initiative asking people to clean up cigarette butts. During last year's Coulee cleanup, 35% of items picked up by volunteers were butts. The Nature Center says cigarette filters contain cellulose acetate, which does not break down under normal environmental conditions. Still ahead, Chase the Chill.
And it's something that I'm going to do anyways, so I might as well do something that helps people.
Local knitters are preparing for their busy season, making sure those in need stay warm.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV, starting at 7 with E-Talk.
It may be summertime, but there's a group in our city that always has the cold, snowy weather on their minds. As CTV's Amanda Anderson reports, Chase the Chill Edmonton works year-round to make items for people in need to stay warm when winter does return.
This may be picnic weather, but if you look closely, it's yarn spread out on the table.
I've been knitting since I was 11, so it was a natural thing to just do this and keep your hands busy, and keeps you busy and out of trouble, sort of.
Even though winter is months away, they're busy knitting or crocheting scarves, mitts, and toques.
We just knit, and it's mindless, it's easy to do.
They're part of a group called Chase the Chill in Edmonton that donates handmade items to people in need.
There's so much need, and it's something that I'm going to do anyways, so I might as well do something that helps people.
It gets cold here in Edmonton, so if we can keep a few people warm, good for us.
Members of the group work to make as many items as possible throughout the year. Then, on the first Saturday in December, they place them on fences in 2 locations in the city.
We have a few scarves and hats. We have no control over who takes it. We are hoping it goes to people who actually need it, not people who are Christmas shopping.
Last year, 1,200 items were left on the fences.
Jasper Place took about 24 hours and they were gone. The ones in Norwood took about 3 days. This is what the tag says.
A few times the tags have been left behind with thank you notes written on them.
And I still carry them around in my phone because they're that special to us, that somebody actually reacted to what we're doing. It's very humbling.
The group is always looking for yarn donations and new members to help knit and crochet.
It's time consuming, but it's worth it.
Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Severe storms continue to hit the Drumheller region right now. We're getting reports of golf ball to potentially tennis ball sized hail coming off of that storm. To the west, there's a second storm near Bicycle that also is producing severe weather, and there is a tornado watch for that area. So it's this region circled in yellow there. That's the area we'll continue to watch through the remainder of this evening for severe storms. And again, the potential for tornado to develop off to the northeast of Edmonton. We've got a little shower cell as well. That's going to go through pretty quickly otherwise a fairly nice night here in the city.
Sounds great. Thanks, Josh, and thank you for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, visit ctvnewsedmonton.ca or the CTV channel on YouTube. See ya.